At this time, I call to order the Campbell County Board of Education regular meeting for August 21st, 2023, 6 p.m. at the Alexandria Educational Center. First item on our agenda is to approve the agenda.
I recommend approval of the agenda as is presented.
So motion.
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance and mission statement. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Steve Evans, and the mission statement by Nancy Burns.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Campbell County School District, in partnership with students, staff, parents, and community, is to do whatever it takes to ensure our students' success in college, career, and life.
Thank you, Beth. Next we have our school presentation from the Area Technology Center, presented by Carol Stewart.
Carol is not here right now. It looks like she is stuck in traffic, so we can start. I can start the presentation based on what she has done and not losing time. She'll be here. She should be here shortly. How's it needed? That's totally possible. Okay. So she has started out. As many of you know, our Area Technology Center is a regional program. She started out with the mission and the vision of the program. And the vision is, with high expectations and strong partnerships, Kentucky Tech will actively engage all students in the mastery of academic and technical skills needed to be ready for a career. The mission of career and technical education is to assist schools in providing students with skills necessary for successful transition to the post-secondary education or work, to post-secondary education or work, and a desire for lifelong learning in a global society. So these are the programs that we have available to our students in the region. We have auto body, which is collision repair, auto technology, carpentry, electricity. Fire science is a new program that we added this year. Health science, masonry, and welding. The primary goal is that all students graduate career ready by earning industry certifications, successfully completing a CTE dual credit course, and or engaging in cooperative education and apprenticeships. The important thing to note there is that we do offer dual credit at our Career and Technical Ed Center. So we do have, for accountability purposes, they're held accountable with the state in a different way than what we normally have with our other schools through the state. But they do have very rigorous accountability. You'll see their 21-22 data. They had an accountability score of 97.83, and they were ranked the 6th highest in the state. And they do have a career readiness indicator of 82.17, and that was ranked 10th in the state. Then when you move on to the 22-23 projected data, now that is, again, projected, but we know those numbers should come in pretty close to what you'll see on this full report card. And that is 81 out of 91 seniors earned a state recognized industry certification. We have 32 seniors that successfully completed a CTE dual credit course, and of the 10 seniors who did not earn their industry certifications, 7 successfully earned 300 hours in their cooperative education. So in Skills USA, we have all of our CTE programs are required to be affiliated with a Career and Technical Student Organization, that is CTSO. And for the 22-23 year, their state competition, we had 16 students competed in 7 different categories. We had 12 students that placed 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. 5 students qualified for nationals. And then when they went down to the national competition, we placed 10th in nationals in masonry and 28th in the nation in T-marks. That was very impressive. Again, these students are across the region, but many of those were Campbell County students. Mrs. Stewart, our principal out there, does meet with a steering and advisory committee very often. She does have, they're required to meet twice a year, and I believe, we could ask her, because I have attended a few of them, I think they have met more frequently even than that. At these meetings, it's comprised of stakeholders, including representatives from local businesses, industry experts and owners, feeder school districts, higher ed institutions and agencies, the Chamber of Commerce, and different unions. I do know that CLAG, many of our CLAG members do attend the steering and advisory committees as well. And in fact, when they went to put in fire science, opening up the new program, that was, there was a lot of involvement out of the steering and advisory committee for what program will come in next. Of course, we consider student needs, but we also have to look at the community and the industry needs as well. So service learning is another part of the program. With masonry, our masonry students poured and finished a concrete pad in the middle school to be used as a base for the bleachers. And in carpentry, our students helped our FBLA build a homecoming float, assisted the drama club with building play sets, and they built a storage shed for Campbell County Elementary School. And if you've ever seen, I know personally, with watching some of the drama performances, the sets were heavily involved. They were very detailed. And then for the 22-23 year in review, we have some accolades for our students. We had 5 masonry students winning the Mason Apprenticeship Scholarship. We had 3 masonry students who won first, second, and third in the Masonry Skills Challenge. You see we had a masonry student that placed second at the Battle of Columbus. 18 CCATC students placed first, second, or third in the Regional Skills USA competitions. And CCATC was asked to host a Campbell Leadership Action Group meeting. That was the CLAG meeting. They hosted that. I had the opportunity to attend that, and the students did a phenomenal job of showing off their program, showing off their talents, and helping our community, our CLAG, with our community leadership and business group that was, I won't say they were unaware, but we continue to want to make them aware of what they're doing at the building. It was a great way to bring them in, to show them what all we had going on. And from there, we had a lot of volunteers that came out of that meeting, and a lot of connections, a lot of networking connections were made. The CCATC students were featured on a state-produced promotional video for career and technical education. I think we sent that out last year. That was a big deal. They were highlighted, and then they were invited to host a virtual career camp, a Grow and KY event as well. More student accolades. They started our first student advice. She started the first student advisory committee. They honored 5 amazing students at the Campbell County Night of the Stars. 2 of our students were chosen to receive the Career and Technical All-Star Award and the Excellence in Education Celebration. That's a regional recognition. Auto body students completed multiple cars, including dump trucks, race cars, and classics. Notable events, they hosted their first senior opportunity event. Mr. Decker received a Spirit of Construction grant for $5,000. Back up to the first annual senior opportunity event, that is where we brought in business volunteers out in the field. They interviewed the students, they helped them with their resume, they helped them with their interviews, and I believe there were several students that were hired right there on the spot. So it was a great event, and she plans to move that event and have even more participation this year for our students. We hosted a successful, we did not, I didn't do anything there. They hosted a successful car show and vendor fair. It was awesome. They received approval to add a brand new fire science program. As we said, just so you know, that application was 60 pages, just the application, and then all the supporting documents. Mrs. Stewart spearheaded that and saw that through. So we really have her work to thank for bringing that to our students. They also hosted tours for 8 schools, and they visited 4 schools. She did. Okay, that is it. I will apologize that Mrs. Stewart is not here. I'm sorry you never listened to me do that, but good thing she was detailed in your presentation. Actually, I say that there is so much to brag on with this program. There is a lot of, there's been a lot of improvements, and there's so much room for continuous growth. And I know Mrs. Stewart is doing the right things out there with the program. For the first time, we have staff that are filled, and if you're unaware, this is a state program that runs through. So actually, Mrs. Stewart is hired half by Campbell County and half by the state. So, and she just, speaking of you, she just walked in the door. Your presentation we just went through. I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if anyone has any questions for you, I'd be happy to let you answer them. This is Mrs. Stewart. I was just bragging on.
No questions. I was really interested that the fire science program got started. I think that was a great way to think about what we may be needed in the community educationally and be offering that. And also I wanted to encourage people to know that we, at least at Lake Count, do not have all the spots available filled there. So if you have a student who is at all interested in one of these areas of skills, you should definitely encourage them to apply to be part of that program, because we don't want to have those spots going unfilled.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are slowly filling up. The problem, it didn't get its final approval until after all the feeder schools had scheduled. And so we knew it would be kind of a slow process this year getting kids in there. But it's getting there. We're having a few more. I had 2 more today. So we're good.
I attended the car show, and I was like shocked because I wasn't sure what this is going to be, and the parents and the people that, when I would talk to them with their children in it, they were just like over the top on how it was run. They had no idea that Campbell County did something like this, and so I used my personal experience where my son went through the program and is a mathematician to this day. And he thanks God every day because he is booming with business. So, thank you, Campbell County. But there's so many opportunities out there. I just wish parents would be more open-minded and to let their child go and ask questions about it. I mean, it is totally amazing, that whole atmosphere, the family oriented. I mean, it's just awesome. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. We did our new electricity instructor actually just started today.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah, and he's local too, so he's really excited, and some of what we're just great for the community as well, because he has, had children that went to the schools, and so he's a community member as well as now.
And I can say the same thing. I appreciate everything you're doing. I have been in education a little over 10 years, and I'm not a big college pusher myself. So I love that these kids are able to get a trade and go out and work. And like her kids probably making more money than any of us ever will. So, I think it's great that these kids are into trades and can learn at an early age. So yes, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. We had our carpentry instructor place the student last year, and he was making more than the instructor was. Great. What am I saying?
It's a great program. It looks to get a really good year, and we expect another good year this year. I've had several relatives myself go through, and it's a good program.
Nothing to add, Mr. Mason. Thank you again. Sorry that you were delayed in getting here and didn't get to brag on yourself.
I'm sorry. But it's probably a good thing, because I get started talking about it, and I'm really passionate about it, so I have a hard time keeping to the time limit. So it only worked out best for everyone else. We're glad to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is audience comments.
Yes, we do have one speaker, Mr. Pat Lance, with the topic of the DAV.
Yes, I came here tonight to criticize you, Ms. Campbell, just as I tried to do a few years ago. Back then I was shouted down, and I hope that doesn't happen again tonight. I have two reasons to criticize. First, you have a history of questionable real estate deals. And based on the history, I believe you are the person on the board that was the ringleader on this DAV debacle. And I believe you were the person that was trying to get this land. I've asked before, and I ask again, if this was such a good idea, why don't you take credit for it? And so far, you've never answered that question, and I believe the voters have a right to know who was responsible, who on the board, so they can hold them accountable. The second reason I want to criticize you is because you have a long, and I should say bizarre history of using public employees like Mr. Reed to implement these just strange personal vendettas you have against people like me who speak out against you. At the library, there was a guy who was protesting a real estate deal that you were leading, and you had the police department under your watch arrest him. Some library employees questioned the same shady real estate deals, and you had the HR department fire them. In my case, even though I hadn't been there in years, you had a library attorney ban me for life, and my daughter, from going to the Cincinnati Library, even though I hadn't been there in years. And you did so without any due process. So then what happened? I ran into you at a local restaurant not long ago, and I said a few things you didn't like. So you ran to the Campbell County attorney and you tried to get me thrown in jail. I wonder if your colleagues on the school board know about this history. What happened after that? That's a pattern of conduct. So I came down to a school board meeting to urge you to reverse course on this DAV deal and everybody else. I was shouted down by Janice Windbigler and Mr. Reed, and you didn't listen. You moved forward. So where do we stand after all this time? At the next meeting, you changed the public participation policy to lessen the amount of time people could speak, because you didn't want to hear from people. You certainly didn't want to hear from me. And you decided to say that if someone criticized individual members, that they would be, I don't know, arrested or what have you. But the biggest problem is just this ongoing problem you seem to have with the First Amendment. I'd like for you to explain that tonight. But even if you don't, I think the public should know this. Based on your own admission, several things happened. One, you cost this district tens of millions of dollars by playing real estate. You almost cost Peggy her job on the school board. You did, in fact, cost Janice Windbigler her job. And more importantly, you spent years trying to take this land that didn't belong to you. And you're going to take 2 or 3 more years to build a school. So an entire generation of school kids have missed out on the school. And based on this history, I have a question for each of you. I hope you answer tonight. Will you refrain from any more attempts to take land that doesn't belong to you? Your time's up. 3 minutes is up. I'd like to ask a question if anybody here would. You have it. Thank you. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is superintendent comments.
So I do have some comments which are very exciting and positive because we have had an absolutely fabulous start to our school year. So I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every member of our school community and our outstanding staff for their exceptional participation and enthusiasm throughout all of our recent back-to-school events. And that includes filling out forms, that includes getting their students to open house, and for all of our staff, the preparation of that. The energy and the positivity that you have brought to these events do set the tone for an exciting year ahead. Together, we are creating an environment where our students can learn, they can grow, and they can thrive. Here's to a fantastic year filled with endless possibilities and meaningful accomplishments.
Thank you. Next, we have board member comments.
I just want to welcome everybody back. I think the hot topic in my life coming from church was the bathrooms are awesome at the middle school. There will be comments about the front of the building, but I think the inside bathrooms win the prize this year. So thank you everybody, thank you the board for But they really do look nice though. But I just want everybody to have a great, great year. So good luck.
Yeah, I'll second that comment as well, because same thing, I was out somewhere and somebody said to me, so I need to ask you something. I said, yeah, and they were like, I heard there's one bathroom available at the middle school starting next week. Just one, single bathroom. I'm like, no, that's not the case, guys, it's okay. And so you guys have obviously done a great job, and I hope everyone has a fantastic year.
My middle schooler was very appreciative of that.
I feel like, yeah, my granddaughter.
I saw a lot of very nice pictures too on various social media the first few days. It's good to see everybody looked like they were having a good time. My kids had a very good first day. Had a very good second day. They didn't like get off the door quite so much the second day, but I don't think we're unique in that regard. So looks like it's been a good start to the year. So.
Mr. Mason, any comments to add?
Just welcome back, everybody. It's always an exciting time, a busy time of the year, and can't wait to see all the new things that will happen this year.
Thank you. So I want to congratulate the football team on a great start to the season as well. Sorry I wasn't there at the Reds game instead. And I really enjoyed our opening day. Our speaker was wonderful, really set a nice course for what we should be thinking about as we have those students coming into our classrooms, but also what we as staff members and teachers may bring with us into realizing that trauma is not just the students, but everyone who's there. And I also heard many comments about the middle school, so, and many concerns prior to the opening that it was going to be all virtual, and those rumors were circulating. And so I'm glad that we were able to open, and hopefully the rest of the rooms will be finished in the near future, and we won't be talking about them all the time. Thank you. The next item on our agenda are the personnel actions. The board accepts those as submitted. In our written communications and reports, the SBDM minutes, the public relations report, field trip report for athletics, report of donations, the annual donation report for fiscal year 23, and the donation report for June, the district non-SBDM staffing, data security, virtual learning, and special education procedures update. So the board receives those communications. Are there any questions about any of those items? A lot in there. Next would be our action agenda. We have a brief action agenda this time. The first is BG 22-294 for the Campbell County Middle School renovations at top of the night, change order number 3.
So I do have a change order here, and we will go through that. We also do have in attendance this evening, John Campbell is here with us. So if there are any questions, or John, if you, after I go through this, if you wanted to give them a little bit of an update. I understand we had a construction meeting today, and they want to update them a little bit. So we'll go through the change order first. I do have the third change order here. This does include a Perkins Carmack construction order, and that amount is for $2,589.47. We have the East Kentucky Masonry change order for $4,114. Avenue Fabricating for $6,228.07. OKI Interiors for $1,633, and Hudson Piping for $4,122.
So there's a description of what each of these items will provide for the middle school. I think it's pretty straightforward and really not at all surprising that we have change orders on a renovation project of a building of both that size and age. So you always find that a little surprise when you start doing that kind of work. Any questions?
John, would you like to give an update? If you would, come on to the microphone.
you are correct, all of those change orders do deal with existing issues with the building, so definitely needed corrections to the property. Heard loud and clear on the rest of the restrooms. We are pushing along on those. Do anticipate the largest stuff with the remaining to be completed in the next couple of weeks. Then they're going to transition downstairs to the remaining around the concessions area. So some of those restrooms weren't even scheduled to be completed until February, and they're all going to be done in the next 6 weeks or so. So we'll be a little bit ahead of schedule there, but we are behind schedule on that front entry, and that's the concentration point now. We met today. Try to drive that point home, and that's going to be the focus moving forward. So get the buttoned up, get the roof in the dry, start the interior finish work in the lobby. Be happy to answer any specific questions you may have.
I just know my 7th grade granddaughter was greatly offended that all the 6th grade students were coming down to their part of the building and using the restrooms there. Like the classes come down the hall, she was telling me, and have to use our bathrooms. She'll be delighted. What they focus on. Any questions for Mr. Cadell? No. Thank you for coming tonight. Do you have a recommendation, Dr. Wilson?
I do. Recommendation is to approve the change order number 3 for BG 22-249, or excuse me, 294. This is why I need these for the middle school renovations as is presented.
Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move we approve the change order number 3 for BG 22-294.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Sorry. Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
And Ms. Fenders, yes. I started calling Ms. Kayla.
That works.
Okay, the next item on our agenda, oops, it's giving me an error, is food service positions for USDA meals per labor hour.
So what we have before you is a recommendation from the USDA meals per labor hour have specific guidelines. Campbell County's child nutrition programs have expanded, which is great news. The participation has increased, and the meals per labor hour calculations do require staffing at multiple schools. Data for the entire 22-23 school year was used to ensure that meal counts and daily sales support this need, and I know Mr. Abbott went above and beyond and tracked that for the entire year in each month. Currently, we have schools that are qualifying for additional staff, and that's an addition. We need 2 additional staff members in the middle school, 2 at Campbell Ridge, 2 at Crossroads, 1 at Grand Slick, and 1 at Riley. And the Food and Nutrition Service Department would like to utilize a 2-phase plan for the hiring of these additional staff members. What they would do in the first phase is that they would put 1 staff member at each one of the schools, and then phase 2 would be the meals per labor hour would be recalculated mid-year, and if the meals per labor hour data still supports this second staff member at those buildings that require a second staff member, then that position would be added to that qualifying school at that time.
Are there any questions? It seems fairly straightforward that we need this many staff in order to serve the number of meals that we're providing.
We need the people, we need the people.
Yeah. Doesn't seem questionable to me.
So I would recommend approval of the additional food service positions, 8 in total per USDA meals per labor hour calculations as is presented.
You've heard Dr. Wilson's recommendation. Is there a motion from the board?
I move we add the food service position.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
And Ms. Fender is yes. I think it's just not working tonight. No, we've got votes showing up on items before we voted on them. It's kind of just out of sync. Okay, here we go. The next item is an application for the approval for the Bridger Committee Community School Initiative Grant.
So anytime we do want to apply for a grant, we do come to the board and request approval.
The Pritchard Committee was awarded a $47 million grant by the U.S. Department of Ed. So their plan is to channel $30 million of this grant directly out into 20 different Kentucky school districts. So that would be $1.5 million per district over 5 years through the implementation of a full-service community school known as the Kentucky Community School Initiative. The initiative will be driven by deep community engagement and a comprehensive planning that aims to better align and coordinate existing community resources and develop new ones that have been proven to support student success. As part of this grant application, we are selecting the Campbell County Middle School and Crossroads Elementary to implement a full-service community schools model in partnership with the school-based family resource and youth service center coordinators. So this model is built on different foundation pillars, which I think you will find run consistent with what we're trying to do in Campbell County. These include active family and community engagement, expanded and enriched learning times, integrated supports, and collaborative leadership practices to support high-quality teaching. The grant requires that our district create a full-time equivalent director of community schools position as referenced in the attached job description that you have, and this position would be funded by the grant. The remaining grant funds would go to the 2 chosen schools each year of the grant to fund well-coordinated supports that will ensure the students receive the health, social service, and learning opportunities they need to be successful. Should we receive the grant, all of those components would be in there, and then upon receiving the grant, our school district would then serve as a learning site to support the state scaling of what works to improve student outcomes. And this is a grant that is it's called the Pritchard Committee grant, so it works very closely with the Pritchard Committee and the initiatives that all of our schools have also participated in last year.
And so there's no matching local funds required for this grant. It's simply creating this position, which would be grant.
Correct. The position and all the benefits would come from the grant, so this is at no expense to the district.
Any other questions or comments? Dr. Wilson, your recommendation?
Recommend approval to participate in the application of the Pritchard Committee Community School Initiative Grant.
Is there a motion from the board?
I'll motion to approve for the Pritchard Committee Community School Initiative Grant.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Fender is also yes. The next item on our agenda is the e-meeting agreement with KSBA and Riley Elementary. Because I serve on KSBA's board of directors, I will not participate in any discussion of this and will be abstaining from voting.
So each school sets their meeting dates, their agendas, and documentation items for site-based decision-making council meetings. Schools are required to maintain these records for documentation. This switch for Riley to e-meeting will enable them to prepare consistent meeting agendas and will provide them with a space to house them for required records retention. So Riley is requesting to pay a one-time setup fee of $750 and an annual update maintenance fee of $750 each school year thereafter. Any questions about that?
Do we have any other schools that use e-meeting?
We just last month approved the high school and middle school. With no further questions, I would recommend approval of the agreement between KSBA and Riley Elementary to subscribe to the KSBA e-meeting service.
Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move we approve the e-meeting agreement with KSBA and Riley Elementary.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
And Ms. Fender abstains. The next item is the KEXAC MOA for Alexandria Educational Center in Holly Hill. This is also connected to KSBA, so I will likewise be in discussion and abstaining from a vote.
So attached, you have a memorandum of agreement with the Kentucky Education Collaborative State Agency for Children.
which is Keck-Sack and Campbell County Schools. This agreement describes the educational services and procedures that Campbell County Schools will provide through the Alexandria Education Center and the students residing at Holly Hill. The MOA documents the support that Keck-Sack will provide from Campbell County Schools. It is also an annual renewal, and the conditions of this MOA are unchanged from our previous year. Any questions? With no questions or comments, I would recommend approving the Keck-Sack MOA for Alexandria Education Center and Holly Hill as presented.
Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move to approve the Keck-Sack MOA for Alexandria Educational Center and Holly Hill.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Fender abstains. Next item is our consent agenda, which includes the minutes, the addendum bills, the regular bills, the treasurer's report, the leave of absence request, the continuation of learning plan for 2023-24, special education admission and release committee, and section 504 plan chairs, shortened school day for students with IEPs. And that's it. We took 2 out. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll move we accept the item on the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
And Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. Fender is yes. The next item on our agenda is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all.